Millionaire divorces. His wife, not knowing she's pregnant. 18 years later, his ex shows up with a shocking truth. They said pain makes you stronger. But nobody told Aliyah it would nearly destroy her. 4 years ago, she stood in a courtroom, begging the man she loved to believe her. Alexander Knight, billionaire CEO. Ice in his voice, steel in his eyes. Without looking up, he signed the divorce papers. "I don't want your explanations," he said. "I don't want you." Aliyah's trembling hands held a secret, a life growing inside her. He never knew, because someone whispered lies into his ear, and he believed everyone except his own wife. Tonight she walks into his world again, not as a broken wife, but as the woman he tried to destroy, and failed. Every head turns, his heart stops, because standing beside her is a boy, tall, confident, a mirror of Alexander's face, her son, his son. And when the boy looks Alexander in the eyes and says, "Hello, Dad," the entire room stops breathing. Aliyah stood in front of the tall glass building, her heart pounding like a drum. She had rehearsed this moment 100 times, but now everything felt unreal. The skyscraper rose into the clouds, cold and intimidating. Yet she had no choice. She needed this job. Her mother's hospital bills were waiting. Her younger brother's school fee was due. Her shoes weren't branded. Her bag wasn't designer. But her determination, priceless. She checked her reflection in the glass door. Brown skin glowing under the morning light, eyes tired but hopeful. "Aliyah Khan," she whispered, "today everything changes." Inside, the lobby smelled of money and power. Marble floors reflected the expensive lights. Everyone walked with speed, confidence, purpose. Aliyah swallowed hard. She felt like a misplaced comma in a perfect sentence. "Excuse me," she murmured to the receptionist. "I'm here to meet Mr. Knight." The receptionist's brows lifted. "Mr. Alexander Knight." The tone suggested disbelief. "Yes," Aliyah replied gently. She stood straighter, trying not to look intimidated. The elevator door opened to the 57th floor. Silence wrapped around her like a blanket of pressure. This was the executive level. This was where decisions worth millions were made. Her hands trembled slightly around her file. Then she saw him, Alexander Knight. He stood near the panoramic window like a portrait brought to life. Tall, sharp suit, jaw carved like sculpture, eyes as blue as winter water. He didn't just walk, he owned space. Even the air seemed to move differently around him. Aliyah froze. This was the man who would decide her future. He turned. Their eyes met. For a second she forgot how to breathe. His gaze pinned her where she stood, intense, calculated, but not unkind. "You must be Aliyah Khan," he said. His voice was deep, controlled, like someone who measured every word. "Yes, yes, sir," she stuttered. "Relax," he replied, motioning toward the chair. The word sounded foreign, coming from him. They sat across each other. Her resume lay between them like a fragile bridge. He scanned it silently. The ticking clock felt too loud. "You don't have experience in high-level executive handling." His tone was factual, not cruel. She opened her mouth to explain. "But," he continued, "your recommendations are impressive." Her heart did a strange flip. "You worked part-time while studying full-time. You supported your family. You never missed a deadline." His voice softened. "That shows loyalty." No one had called her loyal before. People usually called her desperate. "I need someone who protects confidentiality," he said. "Someone who understands boundaries." Aliyah nodded. "I do." He leaned back, observing her. "Why do you want this job?" "Not money, not status, not ego. To change my family's life," she whispered. A flicker crossed his eyes, something like respect. "You're hired," just like that. Aaliyah blinked. Hired? He stood and offered his hand. Yes, but understand something. He paused. I don't tolerate betrayal. She didn't know why that warning felt personal. The first week was a whirlwind. Aaliyah arrived early every morning. Alexander was always there before her, focused, precise. He never smiled, until she accidentally spilled coffee on her notes. She panicked, apologizing endlessly. He chuckled. Relax, Miss Khan. It's just coffee, not a contract. Her cheeks warmed. That was the first time she saw him human. Their conversations became easier, their teamwork smoother. He trusted her with confidential files. She began anticipating his needs. Coffee strength, meeting preferences, schedule habits. During one late evening, she was typing while he dictated. His voice was calm, steady. Confidence flowed from him like a natural current. You pick up instructions quickly, he noted. I observe well, she replied. You listen, he corrected softly. He paused. Not everyone listens. There was something unspoken behind those words, a history she could not see. Sometimes, when he wasn't looking, she studied him in the reflection of the glass wall. The loneliness in his eyes surprised her. Money and power didn't erase emptiness. One day, she caught him staring at her too. Their eyes locked. He looked away first. She didn't know why her heart raced each time he walked past. She didn't know why his voice could steady her breaths. She didn't know why his presence made her feel safe. He didn't know why he trusted her. He didn't know why her silence comforted him. He didn't know why her smile felt like sunlight. They were opposites, but opposites often collide. And when they do, sparks fly. It happened on a rainy night. Everyone had left. Only papers, dim lights, and soft keyboard clicks remained. You should go home, Alexander said. She shook her head. The presentation isn't ready. I'll finish it tonight. He watched her. For the first time, concern entered his voice. You're exhausted, and you're still working, she countered. A subtle smile touched his lips. Minutes later, he stood beside her desk. Come on, coffee break. I don't think that's an order, Miss Khan. They walked to the break room. Steam rose from the machine. They stood close, too close. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. They laughed quietly over something trivial, something simple, something ordinary. But the moment wasn't ordinary. When they returned to their floor, the office silent, they got into the elevator together. The doors slid shut. The elevator moved. And then, a sudden jerk, a sharp beep. Lights flickered. The elevator stopped. Darkness swallowed them. Only their breathing filled the small space, close, unfiltered, intense. Aliyah's hand brushed his arm. He froze. Neither spoke. Their breaths mingled in the air between them. Opposites, trapped, alone. The emergency light flickered on, revealing how close they really were, their faces only inches apart, and neither of them stepped back. The emergency light hummed above them, soft and pale. Aliyah's breath trembled in the narrow space. Alexander's face was inches from hers, close enough to feel the warmth of his skin. He swallowed as if trying to calm something inside him. The elevator was dim, but his eyes were still impossibly sharp. Neither of them knew how long they stood like that. Time didn't move. Only their hearts did. Aliyah finally shifted, her hand brushing against his arm. The faint touch jolted him. He gently turned his face away, exhaling slowly. I'm not used to being close to someone, he murmured. His voice wasn't confident like before. It was fragile, human. Aliyah's gaze softened. You don't have to be strong every second. He blinked, surprised that someone could see past his armor. The elevator remained still, like it was holding its breath with them. You're not afraid? He asked quietly. No. Her tone was steady, almost calming. I've been through darker places than this elevator. His eyes studied her, not her face, her strength. The lights flickered once more. She leaned slightly against the wall, letting her breath even out. He stayed where he was, watching every subtle expression on her face. She wasn't trying to impress him. She was just real. That's rare, he whispered. What is? Authenticity. The elevator jerked and began moving again. Both inhaled sharply. The moment broke, but the tension didn't. As doors opened, Alexander stepped aside, allowing her to exit first. He didn't say anything. He simply followed her. Back on the office floor, silence held them like invisible thread. Aaliyah placed the last document in her tray. Her hands still trembled slightly. Alexander stood behind her, watching, thoughtful. "You handled that better than I did," he said softly. She gave a small smile. "Fear doesn't solve problems." "Neither does running away," he answered. They ended up sitting together on the conference room couch. The rain outside blurred the city lights. Aaliyah hugged her knees to her chest. Alexander loosened his tie, an action that made him look less like a CEO and more like a man who wanted, just for once, to breathe. "Tell me something about you," she said. He hesitated. No one asked him that. People asked about his success, his strategy, his empire. Not him. "I don't talk about myself," he answered. "Then start tonight." He looked at her, really looked. "I built everything from nothing. People think my money protects me, but it isolates me." Aaliyah listened, not interrupting. "I don't trust easily," he admitted, voice low. "Every person I've let close has betrayed me, used me, manipulated me." "So you stopped letting people in," she whispered. "Yes." Aaliyah leaned back. "Must be lonely at the top." He closed his eyes for a second. "It is." She spoke next. "I grew up sharing one room with my entire family. I worked 3 part-time jobs to study. I know how it feels to be invisible." Alexander looked up, eyes fixed on her. "Do you regret it?" "No," she said firmly. "Struggle shaped me. It taught me that I never want love that depends on status." His jaw tightened, as if her words hit a painful place. "People don't love me," he said quietly. "They love what I can give. Maybe you never gave someone the chance to love you without the money." He stared at her, speechless. Her eyes weren't judging. They were inviting understanding. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Tell me your dream." Aaliyah smiled, but it wasn't bright. It was sad. "To own a small house, with curtains I choose myself, a kitchen where no one shouts. Peace. That's my dream." Alexander's throat tightened. No one had ever spoken about peace as if it were luxury. "You deserve that," he said. His voice wasn't soft. It was certain. She tucked loose hair behind her ear. "And what about you? What do you want?" He didn't have to think. "I want someone who stays." The words hung between them, heavy, raw, unfiltered. Lightning flashed outside. The rain softened, tapping gently on the window. Without realizing, Aaliyah rested her hand on the couch, close to his, not touching, not yet, but close enough to feel each other's presence. He stared at her hand. Slowly he placed his own beside it, still not touching, but the air between them crackled. "No one has ever listened to me like this," he whispered. "Maybe no one tried." He turned toward her completely, expression unguarded, eyes sincere. "I want you in my life," he said, each word deliberate. "As my future, not as my assistant." Her breath caught. She didn't speak. Her silence was louder than words. Slowly, gently, he reached out. Not grabbing, but offering. His fingertips brushed hers. Their hands intertwined. It didn't feel rushed. It felt right. In that quiet room, with rain and city lights as witnesses, 2 people from opposite worlds chose each other. Not for power, not for benefit, for connection. For the first time in years, he felt seen, and for the first time in her life, she felt chosen. Victoria entered the office unnoticed. Her eyes dropped to their joined hands. Her smile froze, then sharpened into something cold. "Interesting," she whispered. Victoria stood silently in the doorway, unseen. Her gaze locked on their intertwined hands. Two people lost in each other. Two worlds crossing lines she believed should never touch. Her jaw tightened, slow and controlled. A storm brewed behind her smile. Alexander finally noticed her presence. He straightened but didn't release Alia's hand. That alone was enough to send Victoria's blood boiling. "Well," she said coolly, "I guess I walked in at the right moment." Her tone carried poison wrapped in fake politeness. Alia gently pulled her hand back, trying to be respectful. Alexander didn't move. He remained seated, shoulders squared, protective, resolute. "Victoria," he greeted without warmth. She stepped closer, eyes flicking toward Alia, like she was analyzing an insect on glass. "So, this is your new assistant?" Victoria asked. Her smile was thin, her voice sweet, but only on the surface. "She's more than that," Alexander answered. Alia's breath hitched. He didn't look at Victoria when he spoke. He looked at Alia. Victoria's smile froze. "More than that? Unacceptable." "You don't even know her background," Victoria said softly. "No pedigrees, no social status. Just a pretty face." Alexander's tone sharpened. "Leave her background out of this." Alia stood, gathering her things. "I should go. You both need privacy." "No," Alexander cut in, standing beside her. "You stay. She goes." Victoria blinked. She was not used to rejection, especially not from her brother. Alia placed a hand on his arm, gentle but steady. "It's okay. I'll see you tomorrow." Their eyes held a silent conversation. He nodded reluctantly. She walked toward the elevator, heart pounding. The metallic doors closed around her. Victoria watched her leave with a venomous stare. "You're making a mistake, Alex. I don't remember asking for your approval." Victoria turned sharply. "That girl will ruin everything." Alexander didn't respond. He didn't have to. His silence said he had already chosen. Days turned into weeks. Chemistry turned into connection. Connection turned into something deeper. Alexander began waiting for her at the office entrance. Alia started leaving handwritten notes on his desk. Their laughter filled the quiet spaces between stress and responsibility. One evening he found her sitting alone with files scattered around, her hair falling forward, her fingers rubbing her temple. She looked exhausted. "You push yourself too hard," he said, placing a coffee beside her. She looked up, startled. "You remembered my order?" "No, I memorized it." That made her heart race. Moments like this kept happening. Soft, unexpected, intimate. Then came the night that changed everything. A company event. Hundreds of guests, flashes from cameras, diamonds and expensive perfume. But Alexander saw only her. In the center of the ballroom, he walked toward Alia. Every step echoed with intention. "Alia," he said. She turned, smiling softly. Her green dress flowed like quiet confidence. He exhaled, almost nervous. "I don't want to hide how I feel anymore." Her eyes widened. The room blurred around them. Alexander dropped to one knee. Gasps rippled across the ballroom. Alia covered her mouth, tears forming instantly. "Alia Khan," he said, voice steady yet full of emotion. "You changed my world. I want to wake up with you, fight with you, grow old with you." He opened a velvet box. The ring inside didn't sparkle as much as Alia's eyes did. "Will you marry me?" Her tears spilled. "Yes, yes, I will." Applause erupted. The cameras flashed. He stood, slipped the ring onto her shaking finger, and kissed her forehead gently. Not hungry, not rushed, just pure love. Victoria watched from a distance, her face expressionless, her heart burning. The wedding was intimate, no publicity, no business partners, just vows, promises, and two hearts beating in unison. Aliyah walked toward him in a simple, elegant dress, not expensive, beautiful. He whispered when she reached him, "You're everything I never knew I needed." Their vows weren't scripted. They came from truth. With that, they became Mr. and Mrs. Knight. Married life flowed effortlessly. Alexander surprised her by cooking breakfast on Saturdays. He always burned the toast. She always laughed and ate it anyway. Aliyah waited for him after meetings, holding his coffee in a travel mug. He kissed her forehead as if it was the most natural thing. Their romance was pure, not loud, not performative. It lived in their small routines. But love invites jealousy, and jealousy invites war. Victoria watched quietly. Each romantic moment fueled her hatred. "She's destroying our bloodline," Victoria whispered to herself. "He doesn't see it yet." Victoria carved a plan, piece by piece, cruel but effective. One afternoon, Aliyah left her phone on the kitchen counter. She was laughing with Alexander near the patio, hands resting gently on his shoulder. Victoria slipped inside like a shadow. Her fingers closed around the phone. She slid it into her purse without hesitation. She walked into the guest bathroom, locked the door, and dialed a number she knew too well. It rang once. Then a male voice answered. Her tone was low, venomous. "Daniel, it's time." Daniel chuckled darkly on the other end of the line. "I've been waiting to destroy her." Victoria stands near the giant window of Alexander's penthouse, arms folded, eyes full of calculation. Daniel stands across from her, tapping his foot nervously. "You said it was urgent," he mutters. Victoria's voice is icy calm. "It's time to destroy her." Daniel raises a brow. "Why? She seems harmless." Victoria steps closer, eyes narrowing. "My brother married a woman who doesn't belong in our world. Brown skin, poor background, no legacy. I won't let her stain our family." Daniel leans against the wall. "So what do you want from me?" Victoria holds up Aliyah's phone. "I want you to make a call that will break their marriage." Daniel laughs under his breath. "You want me to lie and say she's my ex?" Victoria's grip tightens around the phone. "She stole our life. You'll help me steal hers back. But Alexander is powerful," he warns. "He'll destroy me if this goes wrong." Victoria steps closer, tracing his jaw with a cold finger. "He only destroys people he catches." Her manipulation seeps like poison. Daniel hesitates. Morality flickers for a second, but greed and desire win. "What exactly do you want me to say?" Victoria hands him a pre-written script. "Tell him she lied. Tell him she was in a relationship with you before the marriage. Tell him you have romantic videos." Daniel reads the script, smirking. "You're a dangerous woman." "I'm a protective sister," she corrects. Downstairs, Aliyah is unaware of the venom being prepared upstairs. She arranges dinner on the table, humming softly. She smiles at the thought of telling Alexander her good news tomorrow. She places her hand on her flat stomach, warmth filling her chest. A new life, a miracle, love growing inside her. She whispers to herself, "He will be so happy." Meanwhile, Victoria gestures for Daniel to sit. She switches Aliyah's phone to speaker mode. She dials Alexander's private line from Aliyah's number. It rings. Once, twice. Alexander picks up. His voice is calm, gentle, full of trust. "Aliyah, I'm in a meeting. Everything okay?" Daniel inhales, then begins. "It's not Aliyah." Alexander frowns. "Who the hell is this?" Daniel's tone becomes heavy, fake nostalgia dripping through it. "Her ex." Silence. Then, "What did you just say?" Daniel continues as Victoria mouthed the words silently with him. We were together. She used me, and now she's using you. Alexander's knuckles go white. His jaw clenches. You're lying. Daniel's wicked grin grows. I have videos, romantic ones, before she married you. Victoria watches Alexander's trust snap like glass. Daniel adds one final blow. She married you only for your money. The words explode into Alexander's world like dynamite. Breath gone, mind blank, heart crushed beneath the weight of betrayal. He doesn't think. He doesn't reason. He doesn't remember the soft laughter, hugs, late-night confessions, or the sincerity in Alia's eyes. Anger blinds him. She will regret the day she walked into my life, he growls. He hangs up. Victoria's smile widens. A predator who just tasted blood. Daniel pockets the phone. That should do it. Victoria tilts her head proudly. He will destroy her with his own hands. Upstairs, Alexander storms out of his office. His heartbeat is erratic. He can feel betrayal choking him. Every memory twists. Every laugh becomes manipulation. Every kiss becomes a lie. Every promise becomes a trap. He doesn't wait. He doesn't question. He walks toward Alia. Downstairs, Alia stands near the dining table, unaware of the storm raining toward her. Her phone buzzes on the counter, a reminder from the clinic. She smiles, reaching for the sealed medical envelope. She hasn't even opened it yet, because she wants to tell Alexander face to face. She imagines his reaction, the way his eyes will widen, the way he will pull her into his arms and whisper, "We're going to be parents." Her heart beats fast with hope. She sits. She inhales. She opens the envelope. Her eyes widen. Her hand trembles. Her lips part. Positive. She is pregnant. Alia presses her palm over her stomach, tears of joy filling her eyes. Meanwhile, Alexander walks toward her with rage, ready to end their marriage forever. Alia still stood near the dining table, clutching the pregnancy report like it was a fragile piece of hope. Her fingers trembled around the paper, and she pressed it against her heart as if she could hold the happiness inside her just a little longer. She had imagined this moment in so many different ways. He would come home tired, remove his tie, loosen his collar, and she would walk up to him with shy excitement, whisper, "We're going to be parents." She imagined him stunned, then smiling, then lifting her into his arms and twirling her around the room. She imagined laughter. She imagined warmth. She imagined their future starting tonight. But fantasies break faster than glass. The apartment door slammed open with a violent burst that rattled even the chandelier. It was the kind of slam that didn't belong to tiredness, but to fury. Alexander's footsteps were sharp, each one hitting the wooden flooring like an impact about to shatter the world. When Alia turned, the sight ripped the breath from her lungs. Alexander wasn't her husband right now. He looked like a man who came to destroy. Jaw clenched tight, shoulders rigid, eyes burning with betrayal so deep. It didn't look like anger. It looked like hatred wearing his face. Alia's voice came out soft and full of confusion. "Alexander, you're home early." He didn't respond with words. Instead, he reached into his coat and slammed a folder onto the dining table so hard the plates rattled. Loose papers spilled across the polished surface and fluttered to the floor like white petals from a dying flower. Alia stared at the scattered papers, legal stamps, her name, his signature, divorce papers. Her heart dropped to her stomach and her hand loosened around the pregnancy report. "Divorce?" she whispered. Alexander's voice cracked like a whip. "Sign them." Her head jerked up. She stared at him, eyes wide, confused, hoping he was joking, that this was some horrible misunderstanding. "Alexander, what?" "I said sign them!" The force of his shout vibrated through the air. Alia stumbled back a step, her legs suddenly weak. She swallowed hard, trying to process what was happening. This man, This same man who used to rub her feet after a long day, who would pull her close at night and whisper how safe she made him feel, was now looking at her like she was unworthy of breathing the same air. She tried again, her throat tightening. "I don't understand. Why are you—" He cut her off, voice ice-cold and unforgiving. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" Aaliyah blinked rapidly, her eyebrows pinched with confusion. "Find out what?" "That you lied to me," he snapped, his voice thick with disgust. "That you married me while still sleeping with your ex." The world froze around her. For a moment, she thought she misheard him. "What?" He stepped closer, channeling all his rage into every word. "He called me." Aaliyah felt like her bones turned into dust. "He? Who?" Her heart sank when she realized this wasn't a random claim. This was the lie that had been planned. Alexander's voice became darker, lower, filled with an ache and venom mixing together. "He told me everything. About your past, your relationship, the videos." Aaliyah felt the air being knocked out of her lungs. "Videos?" she whispered, voice trembling. "What videos? I never—" "Stop lying!" he roared. She flinched so hard her body shook. She had never seen him like this, not even in the worst arguments. His eyes held outrage, but beneath it there was hurt. Deep, aching hurt. She took one step toward him, desperate to make him listen. "Alexander, please." He stepped back, as if the very sight of her was poison. "You married me for my money." Her tears spilled instantly, uncontrollably. "No, I married you because I loved you. I still love you." He scoffed, the sound cutting her deeper than a knife. "Your acting doesn't work on me anymore." Her voice quivered. "Why don't you just ask me? Why don't you let me explain?" "Because liars don't deserve explanations." She stared at him with shattered eyes. "I have never lied to you." He leaned closer, voice quiet and deadly. "You lied every day." Aaliyah shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks, dripping onto the divorce papers scattered on the floor. She bent to gather the papers, trying to breathe, trying to keep her world from collapsing. Her fingers brushed against the medical report. Her heart clenched. This was the wrong moment, but she had no choice. She stood, gripping the report tightly. "I wasn't lying earlier," she whispered. "I have something to tell you." He stared at her like she was invisible, like her words didn't even deserve to be heard. Aaliyah inhaled shakily. "I'm pregnant." A long, heavy silence filled the space between them. For a moment, everything stopped. The air, the tension, even the heartbeat in her chest. It was like the world paused, giving him a chance to feel the truth. But he reacted like she stabbed him. His expression twisted into disgust and disbelief. He laughed, sharp, bitter, cruel. "You expect me to believe that?" Aaliyah's voice cracked. "I found out today. I was waiting for you to come home. I thought—" He snatched the report from her hand, glanced at it, and tossed it onto the floor without reading. "If you think dragging a fake pregnancy into this will make me keep you," he said, voice dripping with contempt, "you're even more desperate than I thought." Her knees buckled. "But it's real," she whispered. "It's yours, I swear, it's yours." He leaned in, eyes cold and sharp. "Get out." Aaliyah froze, her throat tight, breath shallow. "You're throwing your wife out of the house?" "No," he said without emotion. "I'm throwing the liar out." His words were a bullet. Slowly, painfully, she straightened her posture. Her tears didn't stop, but her voice stopped shaking. "You promised to protect me." "I changed my mind." She wiped her face with the back of her shaking hand. "Fine." She walked toward the door. No suitcase, no belongings. Just heartbreak. Just the child inside her. At the door, she paused and turned back. Her voice was faint, barely there. "When our child asks about you, what should I say?" That his father refused to listen. He didn't answer. He didn't even look at her. So she walked out. One step, two, and the door closed behind her. No one followed. No one called her name, not even once. When the door shuts, she disappears into the night with nothing but her unborn child, and Alexander realizes too late. The house no longer feels like home. The night Aliyah disappeared, rain began to fall, soft at first, then relentless, washing away her footsteps from the mansion driveway. But for Alexander, that night never washed away. It froze. It stayed. It replayed like a broken record that refused to stop. He expected her to return. He expected her to call. He expected to wake up the next morning and see her sitting on the bed, ready to forgive him. But she never came back. Not that night. Not ever. Years stretched, dissolving into a timeline that felt like a punishment. Alexander became richer, so rich that the business world whispered his name with a mix of fear and worship. His company expanded into multiple countries, dominating industries. His face appeared in magazines. Awards displayed his success. Trophies lined his office. But no amount of money ever filled the empty chair at the dining table, the one where Aliyah once sat. He built empires, but inside he was hollow. Every decision he made was precise and cold, never emotional. No one saw him smile. No one heard him laugh. His employees described him in two words: emotionally dead. Boardrooms feared him. Investors admired him. But every night when he returned to that same penthouse, silence echoed louder than applause. At times he poured himself a whiskey and stood at the window, overlooking the city lights. He could conquer cities, but not his own memories. Sometimes, without warning, the image would strike him, Aliyah on her knees, tears staining her face, her voice breaking as she begged him to listen. That single moment haunted him like a ghost, sitting on his chest, suffocating him. He once loved her. Then he destroyed her, and the regret carved a wound that never healed. Victoria, despite all her luxurious handbags and hollow parties, avoided talking about the past. Every time Alexander mentioned Aliyah, even indirectly, Victoria's expression became tight, nervous, like someone who built her life on a secret and feared the moment it would resurface. But Alexander noticed. Nothing escaped him anymore. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, far away from their mansion, far away from the past, Aliyah wrote her own destiny. She had walked away from that house with nothing, pregnant and broken. Yet she carried something Victoria and Alexander didn't expect: strength. Life did not suddenly become easy. She struggled. She cried. She worked days and nights. But when her son kicked for the first time in her womb, strength replaced weakness. She held her belly and whispered, "It's you and me now, Zane." He became her heartbeat. Her reason to conquer the world she was once thrown out of. Aliyah started small, working part-time jobs, saving every penny, learning, failing, rising again. She studied business strategies late at night, taking online courses while Zane slept beside her crib. She poured all her pain into ambition. Slowly, she built her first startup. It grew, attracted attention. Investors saw her mind and admired her fire. Within 10 years, she became a CEO. Within 15, she became a known name. Within 18, she became a legend. Her company became one of the fastest-growing firms in the country. Her confidence became a weapon. Her elegance, armor. People didn't see her past. They saw power. She didn't just survive, she dominated. Zane, her son, grew up brilliant, calm, and confident. He had Alexander's sharp jawline and Aliyah's warm eyes. But unlike Alexander, he had gentleness instead of pride. He excelled in everything: academics, sports, public speaking. Teachers loved him. Competitions feared him. He was disciplined, focused. But what made him different was empathy. He helped others without hesitation. When others competed, Zayn inspired. People often told Aliyah, "He's born to lead," and she would smile every time, because she was raising a better man than his father ever was. Zayn never asked about Alexander. He didn't need to. Aliyah never mentioned pain in front of him. He grew up believing that his father died, not because she wanted to lie, but because the truth was too cruel to stain her son's heart. Yet, Alexander never stopped searching. He hired investigators, used contacts, checked hospitals, birth records, immigration logs. Every clue led to nothing. People thought he moved on. He never did. He never remarried, never dated, never gave his heart to anyone again. His torture was simple. He destroyed the only person he ever loved, and karma made sure he lived with the consequences. His heart stayed in the moment he pushed her away. 18 years later, destiny quietly moved a piece. Aliyah sat in her office. Dark wood desk, glass walls overlooking the skyline, employees rushing with respect in their eyes. A brass nameplate sat on her desk, Aliyah Khan, founder and CEO. She was reviewing quarterly reports when her secretary knocked and entered. "Ma'am, the private detective you hired is here. He said it's urgent." Aliyah's heartbeat paused. She had hired him not to find Alexander, but to find the truth. She nodded. "Send him in." The detective entered, carrying a sealed envelope and a small digital drive. His tone was serious. "Miss Aliyah, the search is complete. We recovered Victoria's old phone backups." Aliyah froze. Backups, phone data, call logs, messages, proof. Her throat tightened. Her fingers interlocked slowly, pressing against the desk. "Everything?" she whispered. He nodded. "You'll want to see this." He placed the envelope in front of her. Aliyah stared at it, hands trembling not with fear, but with approaching justice. After 18 years, the truth had finally found its way back. Aliyah opens the envelope. Inside it, she finds an audio file labeled Victoria Confession. Her lips part in shock. Her revenge just began. The room is silent, too silent. Aliyah stares at the envelope on her desk. Thin paper, yet it feels like it's carved from stone. Victoria's old phone backups. 18 years of unanswered pain might finally have a voice. She inhales slowly, steadying herself, then opens the flap. Inside, a USB drive, 3 printed transcripts, a compact audio device. Her fingers hesitate over the USB. For a moment, old fear tries to whisper that maybe she should leave the past buried. But she is no longer the girl who begged someone to believe her. She plugs the USB into her laptop. The screen blinks. A folder appears. Truth. Her heart thunders as she clicks. Audio file 1 loads. She presses play. Victoria's voice cracks through the speakers, dripping venom. "Tell him she cheated. He'll believe anything I say." Aliyah flinches. Even after 18 years, that voice claws under her skin like rusted nails. Another voice joins, Daniel, amused, arrogant, enjoying the cruelty. "You're evil. I like it." Aliyah covers her mouth, not because she wants to silence her sobs, but because she is afraid the roar of her anger might escape. She watches her younger self in memory, pregnant, hopeful, walking into a storm she never saw coming. She presses play again, forcing herself to listen. Victoria. "She doesn't deserve him. She's beneath us." Daniel. "Relax. Once he sees the videos, he'll throw her out himself." Aliyah's hand tightens around the edge of her desk. He didn't ask. He didn't listen. He believed strangers, not the woman he vowed to protect. Aliyah leans back, tears streaming silently down her face, but this time the tears don't taste like defeat. They taste like rebirth. Her pulse steadies, her spine straightens, her eyes sharpen, not with pain, but with purpose. She whispers, voice low, steady, dangerous. It's time. Time to expose lies. Time to tear down the empire built on her broken heart. Time to meet the man who threw her away as the woman he could never reach again. She wipes each tear like clearing a battlefield. No trembling, no fear, just fire. She gathers the transcripts, the audio files, the USB, placing them in a leather folder. Her voice steadies further. I will not let them rewrite my past. I decide what happens next. She turns off the laptop, grabs her handbag, and walks toward the elevator. Her heels echo with authority. Employees part before her as she walks through her company's floor. They see a CEO, confident, controlled, unstoppable. They don't see the storm swirling inside her. She heads down to the lobby. Her car waits at the entrance, a sleek black luxury sedan. The driver opens the door, but she raises a hand. No need. I'll drive. She needs control today. Inside the car, the city lights blur past as she drives into the night, not running but returning. Returning to the truth. Returning to herself. She pulls up at her beach house, her true sanctuary. The moment she steps inside, a breeze rushes in from the open balcony. The sea murmurs, waves crashing against the rocks. Zane is still out at the charity gala. Her son, her pride, her proof that love existed, even if it wasn't believed. She pours herself a glass of water. Her hands steady now. She opens the transcript again. There, in a black ink. Daniel. He'll sign the divorce without even letting her speak. Victoria. Perfect. She stares at the words that destroyed her life. And then she laughs. Cold, sharp, powerful. 18 years ago, you won. But now, your game is over. She heads to her bedroom, folder tucked under her arm. Just as she reaches for the light switch, the doorbell rings. She freezes. At this hour, she opens the door slowly. A courier stands outside holding a silver envelope with a gold crest. Delivery for Miss Aaliyah. She signs. The courier leaves. Aaliyah turns the envelope in her hands. No sender name, just one embossed seal, a lion and crown. She knows that symbol. It belongs to the Knight Corporation, Alexander's empire. Her heartbeat echoes louder and louder in her ears. She tears the envelope open. Inside is an elegant card, thick, glossy, expensive. She reads the engraved title, Alexander Knight, 40th Birthday Gala. At the bottom, in bold lettering, invitation extended to Aaliyah Zane Khan, CEO. Her fingers go numb. He invited her, after 18 years, after destroying her. Below the printed script, a handwritten note. I hope you come. There are things I need to say. AK. Her breath catches, her pulse races. The card slips from her hand and falls to the floor. This is no coincidence. This is fate. Aaliyah closes her eyes and whispers, Alexander, you wanted a future with me once. Now you'll face the truth. She picks up the invitation and accepts it. The war has officially begun. The invitation card lies on Aaliyah's glass desk like a challenge from destiny. The silver embossed letters shimmer under the soft office lighting. Alexander Knight, 50th Birthday Grand Gala. Aaliyah runs her fingers along the edges of the card, feeling a strange stillness inside her, as though 18 years of pain had suddenly condensed into a single point of focus. She takes a slow breath and closes the invitation. Her heartbeat isn't trembling. Not anymore. She is no longer the girl who begged to be believed. She is a woman who will make the truth impossible to ignore. She presses the intercom. Zane, she says, her voice steady. Cancel all meetings tonight. We're attending an event. A short pause. Then her son enters the room. Zane Knight. Tall, sharp-jawed. The mirror image of Alexander, except his eyes hold Aaliyah's strength. He tilts his head. Is that his gala invitation? Aliyah nods. For a moment, Zayn studies her expression. "You're ready," he says softly. Not a question, a statement. "I am," she replies. "But tonight isn't about anger. It's about truth." Zayn smiles, slow, confident, fierce. "You don't have to face them alone." Hours later, Aliyah stands before a full-length mirror in her dressing suite. The gown she wears is deep midnight blue, elegant, tailored to perfection. The fabric sparkles like a galaxy, catching every light, commanding attention. Her hair falls in soft, voluminous waves, no jewelry except a single diamond on her wrist, subtle yet lethal. She looks at herself. No trace of the girl who was thrown out with divorce papers, only the woman who survived. She whispers to her reflection, "You will not shake." She hears footsteps behind her and turns. Zayn stands there, dressed in a black, custom-tailored tuxedo. He looks breathtakingly confident, shoulders straight, gaze sharp. For a moment, Aliyah freezes. A mother looks at her grown son. Her heart tightens. He places his hand over hers. "You built an empire from nothing," he murmurs. "You can walk into a ballroom." She laughs, low, breathless. "Yes, I can." They arrive at the venue. Luxury drips from every corner. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, marble floors polished like mirrors. Paparazzi flash cameras. Guests in gowns and tuxedos step out of limousines. But then something shifts. The room pauses. Time slows. A ripple spreads through the entrance as Aliyah takes her first step into the ballroom. Everyone turns. Eyes widen. Whispers start. Who is she? She is stunning. Is she royalty? No, that's Aliyah Hassan, CEO of Zenith Enterprises. Alexander's business rivals whisper her name with awe. His social circle whispers it with insecurity. Aliyah walks as if she owns the room. Because tonight, she does. Across the ballroom, Alexander laughs with investors, polished, confident. He holds a glass of champagne. He is surrounded by power, lights, prestige. He doesn't notice her yet, but other men do. Heads turn, minds forget their words mid-sentence. Aliyah feels it, the same intense burn of hundreds of eyes on her, but she doesn't slow down. She walks deeper into the ballroom with her chin lifted and her son beside her. Zayn leans closer and whispers, "Careful. You're breaking necks." Aliyah smiles. "Good." The music softens. The lights shift. Alexander turns, and the world stops. The champagne glass slips slightly in his hand. He forgets to breathe. There she stands. Aliyah, the woman he loved, the woman he destroyed. For 18 years he imagined seeing her again, fragile, wounded, desperate for answers. Never like this. Never stronger than him. His heart slams against his ribs. He tries to speak, but his throat locks. He moves instinctively toward her, almost pushing past people without noticing. "Aliyah?" Her name falls from his lips like a confession, like a prayer. She slowly turns. Their eyes collide. His world fractures. Aliyah doesn't flinch, doesn't soften, doesn't blink. Her gaze is calm, controlled, unreachable. "Hello, Alexander." Her voice is smooth, elegant, lethal. He swallows hard, stepping closer, unable to stop himself. "You came." "I was invited," she replies. She turns slightly when revealing Zayn. Alexander stares. He sees a tall young man in a tuxedo carrying an aura of authority. Sharp jaw, blue eyes, night eyes. The color drains from Alexander's face. Confusion flashes. Recognition follows. Zayn meets his gaze, unbothered, bold, powerful. Alexander whispers, barely audible, "Who is he?" Aliyah steps forward, her voice calm but loaded with years of unsaid storms. "He's someone you should have waited for." Alexander's breath catches. His brain freezes. Zane extends his hand to Alexander with a polite smile, the kind of smile that feels like a challenge. "Good evening, Mr. Knight." Alexander shakes his hand slowly, hands shaking. His world is crashing. His heart is pounding. His past is staring him in the face. Aaliyah watches his reaction with a calmness that terrifies him. He forces his voice to steady. "What is he to you?" The room grows silent. Everyone waits. The truth is about to break him. Aaliyah leans in, her lips near Alexander's ear, voice soft and sharp. "Ask yourself, Alexander, why does he look exactly like you?" Alexander's fingers go numb. The truth has entered the room, and it's not leaving. The ballroom falls into a suffocating silence. Aaliyah turns from Alexander and begins walking toward the stage. Her heels strike the marble floor with a calm, controlled rhythm that echoes through the room. A rhythm that sounds like judgment, like fate coming to collect its debt. Every head turns, every whisper freezes. Alexander watches her walk away, his breath trapped somewhere between fear and shame. He knows something irreversible is about to happen. Aaliyah steps onto the stage. The spotlight hits her, illuminating her like a revelation the world wasn't prepared to face. Her midnight gown catches the light, shimmering like the night sky. But her face remains steady, emotion carefully locked behind composure. She stands behind the microphone and speaks, voice low and steady. "Good evening," she says without smiling. "This won't take long." People lean in. Her eyes sweep the crowd. Powerful men, snobby wives, business elites who profit from gossip like currency. But tonight, they aren't spectators. They are witnesses. Aaliyah reaches into her clutch purse and pulls out a USB drive. Alexander's heart stops. "Aaliyah!" He steps forward, voice breaking. "What are you doing?" She doesn't look at him. She inserts the USB into the projector system. The massive LED screen behind her flickers to life. The room waits. Aaliyah lifts her chin and presses play. Victoria's voice erupts through the speakers, venomous, confident, unforgiving. "Tell him she cheated. He'll believe anything I say." Gasps scatter across the room like shattered glass. Alexander's blood turns to ice. Then Daniel's voice follows, casual, mocking, amused. "You're evil. I like it." Laughter, not Aaliyah's, not gentle but cold and cruel, echoes through the speakers. Daniel's voice again. "Once he believes she's a cheater, she's done." "He'll throw her out." The shock ripples through the crowd. A woman at a nearby table covers her mouth. A man mutters under his breath, "This is insane." Phones slowly lift, recording, streaming, capturing. But Aaliyah is not looking at them. She is looking at Alexander. And Alexander, he can't breathe. His knees weaken, the room spinning like a carousel. Every sound rings inside his skull, that recording, her silence, his own heartbeat smashing against his ribs like punishment. Victoria's voice explodes again through the speakers. "Destroy that brown girl. She doesn't belong to our bloodline." The room goes still, like someone tore out its oxygen. Eyes widen, mouths part. A woman sitting near the front whispers, "How disgusting." Alexander grips the edge of a table, knuckles turning white. His sister, his own sister. She did this. Aaliyah speaks finally, microphone in her hand, voice strong yet trembling with contained rage. "I begged for a chance to speak, but you didn't listen." Her voice cracks, not weak but powerful, the sound of someone who was shattered and rebuilt herself sharper. "You didn't ask me once. Not once, Alexander. You believed lies over the woman you vowed to trust." Alexander takes a shaky step closer, pain etched in every muscle of his body. "Aaliyah, please!" She cuts him off with a single raised hand. "No!" The audience feels the force of that word. Aliyah wipes a tear before it falls, but her voice remains unwavering. You divorced me, without knowing you were divorcing your family. Alexander flinches as if the words slapped him. Zane watches from the edge of the stage, calm, composed, unreadable. The tension between father and son is a silent war neither is ready to acknowledge. Alexander stares at Aliyah, desperate, shattered. No, he whispers, shaking his head. No, Aliyah, please. Tell me that's not. It is. Her voice trembles now, but only with truth. You destroyed your own family with your own hands. The words hit him like bullets. His legs nearly buckle. He opens his mouth, trying to breathe, trying to speak, trying to find a world where this isn't happening. Aliyah. Was he... was he... He cannot finish the sentence. The pain is too big. Zane walks forward, slow, composed, unshaken, like he was born for this confrontation. Alexander looks at him, really looks at him. The height, the jawline, the posture, the eyes, his eyes. The realization slams into him like a collapsing building. Zane stops right in front of him, close enough that Alexander can hear his breathing, close enough that Alexander can see the truth in his face. The room holds its breath. Zane speaks, not with anger, not with hatred, but with the quiet authority of someone who has nothing to prove. Hello? A pause. The final blow. Dad. A single word. A life sentence. Alexander's fingers tremble. His world collapses. For the first time in his life, the millionaire falls to his knees. Zane's voice freezes the air. Hello? Dad? Alexander turns pale. His breath stumbles. Those blue eyes, shaken, cracked, bleeding regret. He looks at the boy, the teenager, the son he never knew. Aliyah, Alexander whispers, voice tight. He's my... Zane steps forward. No more denial. No tremble, no fear, just truth. Alexander's gaze jumps between them, Aliyah and Zane, like his world is splitting in two. You divorced me without knowing, Aliyah says softly, voice steady and wounded. You didn't ask. You didn't listen. You just signed. The courtroom is silent as a grave. You could hear a heartbeat break in that silence. Alexander's mask collapses. No, no, I would never abandon my child. Zane cuts him sharply. But you did. He folds his arms. For years. Alexander stumbles backward. Reality hits him like a punch. His legs weaken. He grabs the table for support. Aliyah watches him break. Her pain is old, but her strength is new. Alexander whispers, I didn't know I was divorcing my family. Zane's jaw tightens. That's the point. You didn't care enough to know. Victoria tries to stand, but the crowd blocks her path. Security approaches. She panics. Her lies are exposed. Her power is gone. Aliyah turns her back on Victoria like she's already erased. The courtroom belongs to truth now. Zane's voice is steady. Mom, you don't owe anyone pain anymore. Aliyah breathes, slow, controlled, healing. Alexander takes a step toward them, then another. Fear and hope wrestle in his eyes. Let me explain, he pleads. Aliyah doesn't blink. No excuses, only truth. Alexander's throat works. He tries to speak. Words fail him. He collapses to his knees, right there in the courtroom, in front of everyone. Gasps spread like a wave. The powerful, cold millionaire CEO kneeling. Hands over his face, voice breaking, tears, raw, unfiltered. I failed you, he chokes. I failed both of you. No audience, no company, no ego. Only a man stripped to nothing but regret. Aliyah freezes. She never imagined this. The man who once tore her apart is now breaking himself open. I don't deserve forgiveness, Alexander whispers, but I will spend the rest of my life earning the chance to try. Zane watches him. not as a child longing for a father, but as a young man demanding accountability. He kneels too, not in weakness but power. He looks Alexander straight in the eyes. "Dad, Mom doesn't need your promises." He glances at Aliyah. "She needs proof." Alexander nods, trembling. "I will prove it, even if it takes my whole life." Aliyah's heart trembles. Memories flash, nights of loneliness, dreams she buried, strength she built. She steps toward them, not out of pity, not out of old wounds, out of power. "You hurt me," she says. "But pain is not my identity anymore." Alexander's tears fall harder. "I'm sorry," he whispers. "I'm sorry for every day you cried alone, pregnant with our son. I'm sorry I was blind. I'm sorry I didn't choose you." Aliyah turns to Zayn. His eyes are steady, wise beyond his age. "Mom," he says softly, "don't let the past steal your future." Aliyah breathes in. A new chapter opens inside her. She walks toward Alexander. He rises slowly, unsure if he's allowed to hope. Aliyah looks at him, directly into those shattered blue eyes. "You don't get me back because you apologized." She places a hand on her heart. "You get a chance because I healed." Alexander freezes. "Does that mean—" "It means," she says, voice firm yet gentle, "I choose love from strength, not pain." Zayn smiles, proud of his mother, proud to stand beside her, proud to witness her power. Alexander pulls them both into a hesitant hug. Aliyah doesn't melt. She stands tall. Zayn places a hand on both their shoulders. "Family isn't something you have," he says quietly. "It's something you choose to protect." Alexander exhales like he's been drowning for years and finally surfaced. For the first time, they feel like a family. Not perfect, not fixed, just real. And real is enough. Love gives a second chance only to those who earn it.